Hello and aloha to all the people of the planet. Time is 10 past 10, 31st of March 2022. I've been asked in different occasions about the world order of Baha'u'llah, about the major plan and minor plan of God, about the Baha'i government, about this administration. It seems, there is no straightforward answer or some kind of a talk to put it all together in a simple explanations. And the writing of Shoghi Effendi is, of course, so difficult, that I have to carry a dictionary with me. No criticism. But it just shows that we are so preoccupied with all this type of life that we have that we do not improve our English. Same just as well as Persian. I had a dream of Shoghi Effendi a few days ago. We were in a room, kind of a living room of two sections, they were like intertwined. And he was working very hard, moving furnitures and this and that. I was feeling so sorry for him. But I had a book in my hand. I was wondering if this book is also as one of his books. I didn't know about that because the shape and the scriptures in this were different. I went and asked, sir, is this one of the books that you have written for us? I just want to know if it is yours, because if it is yours, it's authentic and that's all there is to it. I have no more questions. I will read it. And then I saw him going towards a window in the other room that we were in, and trying to cut some kind of a wire behind the drywall. And I said that, well, I can remove this drywall. There's a piece. I put it on. I can remove it so you can get to the wire. You don't have to go through this. It's too hard, isn't it? And then he said, why can't you let me to help you? I can help you moving things. He said, okay, boss, come and help me then. Then he took that book in his hand. So, and that made me to think that let me just put my extrapolations, my directions, like a movie, directing these words of his in this book called World Order of Baha'u'llah. It's a fantastic book, but every sentence, every word has to be magnified and has to be read so carefully and thought about it. Anyways, today I'm going to talk about this major plan of God, which is a part of the world order of Baha'u'llah. It is in the citadel of the faith that he talks about it. And there he talks as also about the minor plan of God. Major plan of God, although the word is major, it does not refer to a bigger and more important plan of God. It actually refers to the majority of the people involved in this plan. This is why it is called major. The minor plan is refers to just the Baha'i faith, to the revelation of Baha'u'llah and its component. That's the minor plan. But it's more important. Why? Because in the society always there's a minorities that is intellectual and that sets the society forward. So minor doesn't mean less important, it's more important. So he says this major plan of God includes all the non-Baha'is, not actually the Baha'is, the non-Baha'is. I've written some notes here. And it has some constructive mode as well as destructive. Some part of it is destructive, some part of it is constructive. But it is taken place by the non-Baha'is. The operators are non-Baha'is. And he also says that the way this plan works, because it's by the non-Baha'is, not by the Baha'is, it's mechanized by war. There's nothing else can do it. War. And its a goal that ultimately it happens, it's really the unification of mankind in one planet, one society. And he calls this lesser peace. Means a peace that brings social as well as economical structure for well-being of mankind throughout the earth. But it does not bring the spiritual part. Even though mankind will reach to this point, is still a handicap. Because they don't know how to communicate with each other spiritually. Trust still doesn't exist. Cheating still is going on. Depression as a result of it is there. It's pretty much like the Western society. It's like the United States. Imagine the whole world become United States or Canada. It has a lot of problem, okay? Internal problem. And he uses a term that's kind of, he says this is a game that God plays with them, or they play with God. This major plan of God does not mean people like Putin or Adolf Hitler or Ayatollah Khomeini. They are chosen by God to do what they do. Or even on the bright side, so people like Mandela or Gandhi or, great guys such as Terry Fox in Canada. They are not associated in any shape or form with the Baha'i faith and with God. God's relation to mankind is only Baha'i faith. There is no other relation. That's the only relationship that exists. That's his message, everything is in there. But something strange happens. And it comes from a reaction to the Baha'i faith. I've categorized myself, these people, the non-Baha'is, are essentially opposers, group one, which are, majority of them are following certain religions of the past. And then there are indifferent one. They're scientists, they're agnostic. They have no qualm with the Baha'i faith, but they have their own ways of doing things. And the third groups are supporters. They're still the same scientists, but they believe in God, but they don't believe a particular person, such as messenger or manifestation, is unique. They believe this message of God comes through all kind of people. There is no particular source as a human that is to be obeyed, that is to be followed, that to be the source. Sources are different. There are three, these are the things. And this, he makes his reference at a time that Baha'i faith in Iran was under serious attack, even at the time of Shah, the previous king. Well, I think he went to, not to exile, but he just left the countries, and some people, his prime minister took over, and then a fellow by the name Falsafi came, another Ayatollah Falsafi came, and he tried to attack the Baha'is, and they took over the Baha'i center in Tehran and basically destroyed it as a means to show that they are Muslims, They're great Muslims, and the Baha'is are satanics. And Shoghi Effendi says, this is what opposers do, and this is the best advertisement for the faith. Bigger than martyrdom of the Bab. It's bigger than Abdul Baha's travel to the West. It's bigger than anything that the Baha'is do. It's very strange. That Baha'is, none of the act in the Baha'i faith matches the opposition force to the faith of Baha'u'llah. It's very amazing. He says that. I'll bring the quotations. So because of that, he says, look, Baha'i faith is getting, advertisement. It reaches to the people. people, they know it exists. Very well, we know in Iran, when Ayatollah came, he killed a lot of Baha'is, but Baha'i faith improved so much. I would say 50% of Iranians are right now potentially Baha'is. And definitely the other 50% are completely away from Islam. Maybe a few percentage left there still, They don't accept that. So this is a kind of a game they play. But Baha'u'llah does not recruit Ayatollah Khomeini to come in. No. No. This is a reaction to his fate. It's like in a room, a dark room, let's say a cell, a jail. All the people are there, 10, 20 people, they're talking. No one knows whose face is what. Suddenly a light comes, and then you notice, oh, this guy's leper, that guy's sick, this guy is this, that guy's ugly. Light, Baha'i faith is that light. It showed to the Iranians that who Ayatollah Khomeini and what the religion of Islam after expiration is. They didn't know. This faith is expired. It's like a food in the fridge. Once it's expired, if you eat it, you get sick. In the case of religion, if you attach to it and practice it, you become psychotic. They didn't know that. But if the Baha'i faith was not there, that would never show itself up. Why? Because they oppose Baha'i faith. If there was no Baha'i faith, there was no opposition, you see. In other Muslim countries, there are not enough Baha'is, so this face of the Muslim in those countries is not showing. The second groups are indifferent people, they're scientists. Those who built Canada, those who made this Western society, all of them, from lawyers, philosophers, scientists, social workers, any one of them. These guys are kind of in competition. They say to Baha'u'llah and the Baha'i, okay, you're there, be there, we have nothing to do with you, we have our own ways. They come down where we have Canada. Definitely better than the societies like in Iran. Those people are having bad faith, bad religion. In the West, there is no religion. Okay? There's no religion in the system. This has its own, in this competition, they're losing. Why? The Western society, although they make a society as a whole good, like a beautiful watermelon, but inside is all rotten. It's not edible. Western society is just going, is automatic, is going to kill the soul of the people. There is no freedom really, as the freedom belongs to the center. It's like a computer that has taken over the society. People are depressed, people are getting divorced, people are cheating each other, people are angry at each other. Literally, this society, if it goes on, the entire mankind becomes psychotics. That's what it is. This is where it tends to go. More of the white people in Canada are suffering from psychosis than the new immigrants that come from the Middle East, because they still have a past. So in this way, also, these things shows to people Canada and Western society is not enough. They need a spiritual system. They can't go to the old system, the past. They can't go to the small ones here and there popping out, because those create a lot of competitions between each other. Again, bad creates out of that. So there has to be a powerful system such as Baha'u'llah and the Baha'i faith, with 500 books, 113 years of revelations through 4 infallible individuals. They'll find out. This will help them to find that out. Finally, there are supporters. They are scientists. They believe in God, but they don't believe in the messenger of God, so-called. They say it's God, but there's no particular person to represent God. We're all the same. Baha'u'llah, they say, can make mistake. He's just a man. He feels that he's prophet, so is others. These kind of people are the people that they waste their time, because they go on and on and on and on, and they find out the best they will do. There are many spiritual theories, They don't get along, and as a result, there's fight and there's a battle. All these so-called spiritualists are like planets. If you want to make a solar system out of them, you have to put a big mass, like the sun in the center, to organize everything. And such mass belongs to nobody by all the records except for Baha'u'llah and the Baha'i faith in general. So, now, this looks like a chess game. But Shaykh Effendi uses the word pawns. They're like pawns. They play, but they're going to lose to the king, at the end of the day. So, I also said, if I forgot to say, that there is I did mention about the destructive force and the constructive force, which Shaykh Effendi says. The destructive force, such as Putin, such as Khomeini and others, are completely out. But there are some good things as well happening, such as Nelson Mandela freed, the blacks, or Gandhi, or, to a certain extent, others, which are kind of lenient towards the real plan of God. So this is what the major plan of God is. So summarize it, is the major plan of God is both made out of non-Baha'is only. It has destructive and constructive phases. And it is made out of the people that are opposing it, which is the religious people of the dispensations of the past, and indifferent people such as scientists and supporters that are not fully lenient towards the Baha'i faith. And this cannot happen unless it goes through the war. When the need comes, mankind has to understand his immediate future. If he cannot understand and estimate what the near future is going to look like and what are the needs, it will cause chaos. Mankind one day was in a village, was a single man. They all were mating, male and female. One day male liked this female liked the male, they wanted to stay together. Then they had a baby. And he saw everybody wants to have his wife, or everybody wants to have her husband. They separated themselves from them. And then they found people like themselves. Then they created a village. In the village, they saw there is a argument again between the couples. Then there was a little government made, a chief. See? Then these villages became cities, and cities started to fight with each other. We have seen it all over the world, like I was in Italy, we are hearing how the Florence or Firenze, always fighting with pizza. And then they found out this is also not possible. They have to make a bigger unit. That's how the country is made, because they understood it. Did they know? They had a lot of fight, a lot of killing, and they found out the necessities of a bigger government. And now, bigger states such as United States, like China, like India, where really mega states are there, they have found out that it's not going to work unless they're all together. Nowadays, all those means that united mankind in a village, in a city, in a province, in a state, in a country, in a super country, all those means are today all available. This is a formula of the revolution, invented, postulated by Karl Marx, but he says everything about economy. I say it's the need, is the basis of the evolution of mankind. Now, because of all these means of communication that we have all over the world, mankind is kind of very close to each other. And in this situation, it is necessary to have a bigger government. How would you fix the matter of environment. This was not a problem 500-600 years ago, but now it is, because we invented a lot of things. And the weather is not getting permission from Canada to go to the States. Doesn't need a visa, it'll go. Disease is coming from anywhere in the world here. They travel all over the place because we do travel. We need to trade. We need our economy. Begs us to do that. As a result, we do need a serious form of government where it stops these regional authorities, such as Putin, who has all these bombs, or US or other places. This is what's threatening the mankind. So mankind needs to have one universal government, which would not be the government of people, but is the government of the countries, like United Nations and whatnot, but much more stronger, the combination of United Nations and NATO. So the army is gone. There's one army, just for policing. That the battle goes towards the nature, how to stop pandemic, how to stop, pollution, how to stop possible disaster that might come from space, and so on and so forth. But we're not understanding this immediate needs. Do we or we don't? Maybe we do. Maybe we do. All of us say yes, 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 but none of us really can do it. Why? Because there is a cementing power necessary to do it in a positive way, which is Baha'i faith, but we're not ready for that. Because we think there are a lot of other spiritual people that they can do it. It's not necessarily that the Baha'i faith has to be the thing. So I'm going to go back to what I just said to look at my note that I have gathered it out of the book called World Order of Baha'u'llah, except for one that is in the Citadel of the Faith. So where is this major plan comes is in the book called Citadel of the Faith from 139 to 140, which is referring to this problem that happened in Iran that has caused the name of the faith to go up, and what is the role of these people that are opposing the faith of God. This is what he says, Shoghi Effendi, quote, "Seldom, if at any time since its inception, has such a widespread publicity been accorded the infant faith of God. Now at long last emerging from an obscurity which has so long and so grievously oppressed it, not even the dramatic execution of its herald, which is the Bab, nor the bloodbath which in the circumstances of the fiendish cruelty followed quickly in its wake in the city of Tehran, the killing of the Baha'is there, nor even the widely advertised travels of the center of Baha'u'llah's covenant, which is Abdul Baha, in the West, succeeded in focusing the attentions of the world and in inviting the notice of those in high places, as has this latest manifestation of God's indestructible will, this marvelous demonstration of his invincible power. This latest move in his own major plan, using both the mighty and lowly as the pawns in his world-shaping game for the fulfillment of his immediate purpose and the eventual establishment of his kingdom on earth." So, establishment of the kingdom on the earth is an absolute thing that has to happen. This is the decision of Baha'u'llah. Why? Because the non-Baha'is are going to do it. And they're heading there. But the Baha'is, they might fail. Because a Baha'i willingly comes in. If people are willingly not coming in, then things doesn't happen. Whether the Baha'i faith will take over the planet is something to be seen. It's a doubtful matter, according to the writing. But establishment of the unification of mankind definitely happens because by the non-Baha'is. Then he explains the the two forces involving in this. Quote, a twofold process, however, can be distinguished, each tending in its own way and within an accelerated momentum to bring to high climax the forces that are transforming the face of our planet. The first is essentially an integrating process, while the second is fundamentally disruptive. The World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 170. Now that this quotation is talking about the war, that's the only thing. So, and he brings up the United States as an example, civil war. Quote, who knows that for so exalted a conception to take shape, a suffering more intense than any it has yet experienced will have to be inflicted upon humanity. Could anything less than the fire of a civil war with all its violence and vicissitudes, a war that nearly rent the great American Republic, have welded the states, not only in a union of the independent units, but into a nation, in spite of all the ethnic differences that characterize its component parts? That so fundamental a revolution involving such a far-reaching changes in the structures of the society can be achieved through the ordinary processes of diplomacy and education seems highly improbable. We have but to turn our gaze to humanity's blood-stained history to realize that nothing short of intense mental as well as physical agony has been able to precipitate those epoch-making changes that constitute the greatest landmark in the history of human civilizations. This is in the World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 45. Now in this quotation, he actually brings some quotation, Shoghi Effendi, from the politicians in Europe. It is to be wondered at that in the course of recent statement made by one of the outstanding ministers in Europe, this warning should have been deliberately uttered. Quote, if war should break out again on a major scale in Europe, it must bring the collapse of the civilization as we know it in its wake. In the word of the late Lord Bryce, quote, if you don't end the war, war will end you. Poor Europe is in a state of, this is a difficult word, neurasthenia. Neurasthenia. It's a sickness, like a mental problem. Is in the state of neurasthenia is the testimony of one of the most outstanding figure among its present-day dictators. It has lost its recuperative power, the vital force of the cohesion, of synthesis. Another war would destroy us. It is likely, writes one of the most eminent and learned dignitaries of the Christian Church. Quote, there will have to be one more great conflict in Europe to definitely establish once and for all an international authority. This conflict will be the most horrible of horribles, and possibly this generation will be called on sacrifice hundreds of thousands of lives. Yeah. Now, he says what happens out of that. Quote, the revelation of Baha'u'llah, whose supreme mission is none other but the achievement of this organic and spiritual unity of the whole body of nations, should, if it be faithful to its implication, be regarded as signalizing through its advent the coming of the age of the entire human race. This is in page 163. The previous quotation was page 188 of the World Order of Baha'u'llah. Continuing, Shoghi Effendi, unification of the whole mankind is the hallmark of the stage which human society is now approaching. Unity of family, of tribe, of city, state, and nation have been successively attempted and fully established. World unity is the goal towards which a harassed humanity is striving. Nation building has come to an end. The anarchy inherent in state sovereignty is moving towards a climax. A world growing to maturity must abandon this fetish. Recognize the oneness and the wholeness of human relationship and establish once for all the machinery that can best incarnate this fundamental principle of its life. World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 202. Continuing, he says, such unique and momentous crisis in the life of organized mankind may moreover be likened to the culminating stage in the political evolution of the great American Republic, the stage which marked the emergence of the unified community of the Federated States, the stirring of a new national consciousness and the birth of a new type of civilization, infinitely richer and nobler than any which its component part could have severally hoped to achieve, may be said to have proclaimed the coming of the age of the American people. World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 165. The continent of America is in the eyes of one true God, the land we are in, the splendors of his light shall be revealed, where the mysteries of his fate shall be unveiled, where the righteous will abide and the free will assemble. World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 53. Now, what this will achieve, this unification, would it be? That's what he says, finally. No machinery falling short of a standard inculcated by the Baha'i revelation and at variance with the sublime pattern ordained in his teachings, which the collective effort of mankind may yet to devise, can never hope to achieve anything above or beyond that lesser peace. So he tells us that the result of this planet will be one, as I said, it has a lesser peace, meaning there is no national war anymore. But a war within a family, within the people, psychological, mental, physical war is going on. So if you look right now, I'm just looking where we are right now, I've seen that we grow usually first physically. Like the first man, he invented a bow, a knife, or some kind of a weapon. That demanded some social structure for it. So first we grow physically by invention, then we create a social structure for it. And then it goes on, we'll find out we have internal problem, then the spirituality comes in. So it's first economy, then it's social structure, social achievement, and then finally spiritual. Where are we now? When we look at the people of the planet really right now, I can see three groups. I see essentially Anglo-Saxon white, okay, an Aryan race, from all the way from Russia to Europe to North America. White people. These are the people that they did invention. They brought all the tools, okay? And they were the first. Then they gave it, the second receiver of this really were Chinese. The Mongolian race is specialized in society making, the grouping, the nation building. They're fantastic. They can do things in harmony as a collective. They have a better collective, great society. White man, makes great individuals. The inventor comes in, the leaders come in a society like communism of China or a dense society such as that, individuals are really lost. They're sacrificed for the collective. Then you have India, where the religion and the spirituality and everything comes from, and every other groups in between, which is the combination of this. So we can see that now the white people who made all these inventions in the last couple of centuries or centuries before, for this age, for our age, for this new age we are in, then they developed a social structure, result of which is the Constitution of the United States of America, countries like Canada, all the European countries and whatnot. So they are to be going into the final stage of spiritual connections. But before they do that, they have to go towards a unity. And this unity is a necessity. This is why the war of the Putin with the West is started. It's incredible why this man will do this, but the real thing behind it is that it seems the collective demands it. It's a sickness that comes out. And when it comes out, people, they know. You talk about, you have this pain, that pain, that pain. Doctors, they don't know in the West what to do. When you have all of a sudden something coming out of your nose or out of your head, they say, oh yeah, we see it now. Then they can cure it when they see it. So the problem between the white people and the Western society, now it showed up. It's called Putin. Before it was Hitler. So this is the reason. This guy is the final stage, hopefully, of the unification of all the white people into NATO forces and their culture, their system. The next stage is a big one, because now we have 1.3 billion white people, they're all united, and then we have 1.3 billion Chinese on the other side. That is way huger. That is where we as a human being, I don't know if you're a politician listening to this, a sociologist, we have to see how to weld that together. If we do that, the planet has one army, then does not need army. The rest of the world is tamed. That's it. We get on with it and we go to the real war, get rid of the African problem, pandemics, and a whole lot of things. In this situation, none of the countries, they lose their entity. They're still their country, they're still their system and everything else. But they are unified, just like NATO countries are unified, the same way, okay? This is what's in the plan that is going to happen, and all of it is a reaction to not accepting the truth. If people, they would have listened to Baha'u'llah, none of this would have happened. If the Iranian, when Bob comes as their imam, if they would have listened to him, Iran would have been the biggest country in the world, the best one in the world. But they didn't. Why? Because the Iranian, they say, well, no, we didn't know about it. Yes, you do. You went towards your own imam. Wrong people you choose as your leader. And you did not see this leader. You said, Bob is too young. He's from South. We want an imam that's bigger, older, and is more from the North. God says, okay, I have no qualm. The biggest commodity for God is the willpower. He does not want the willpower of mankind to be manipulated, to be taken away by others. He respects that. So big is for him. It's the biggest commodity. He wants the willpower of mankind. So, out of their will, they didn't see Bob, they went to Ayatollah Khomeini, and the result, the whole country is at chaos. Because Islam wasn't a spiritual mission, this guy, they turned it into a political system. Well, of course it's a disaster. And these two, they don't go together. Even though their own spiritual leader, Imam Ali, says, if it wasn't for righteousness, I would have been the great politician, the greatest politicians of all. But righteousness does not allow me. He says that they knew about this, but yet they got involved into politics. They brought Islam into politics in Iran and they killed it. But that is exactly what God wants. Because how are you going to bring the Baha'i faith for Persians? First, they have to know their religion is no good and battling with God, not accepting it. Now they know it. But they could have accepted it, used their mind, used their heart, and accepted it. They didn't. Now, this is few words I said about this major plan of God, which is the part of the world order of Baha'u'llah, which includes everything in the Baha'i faith. Now, next topic, I will talk about minor plan of God, which is the Baha'i faith, which is the one, is a peaceful way of changing, of getting things done. Good night.